Hi, this is Sheila with Conscious Conversation Central, and today is Sunday, February the 24th, 2019, and I'm joined this evening by my new friend Kevin and BZ
Hi.
Rieger.
Hi, guys.
And so we're going to talk about, BZ got a really good nudge just as we were kind of chatting before we started the camera, before we started the recording. It's all been getting more magical even when it's going sideways, which I know that there's a lot out there that shows that things are going sideways, but I'm leaning more to the more magical side. I not to discount the things that are happening, because I'm aware. I mean, I hear about them and I see uh people talking about different things, but in my personal physical day to day, things just seem to be getting more and more magical. So I guess a lot of it is perspective.
What makes you think the things that are sideways aren't magical?
I'm quite certain that some of them are. That's a good question, actually.
And that could be just the magic showing you, hey, this is the magic. You may think this is sideways, but here, just check this out. Play with this.
Yeah, well, it's all, hidden in plain sight, and things aren't what they seem, and or actually more the point these days in this energy, things are exactly as they seem, but you're not thinking of them that way. You're not looking at them that way. And so it's got that, what is going on there kind of a thing to it.
Okay, yeah. I guess whenever I think about things going sideways, now, me personally, we kind of talked about that too. I have literally stood up and feel like I'm going sideways. So, yeah, I mean, I've had that too.
That happened to me today.
Yeah, you did say that too. But generally, when one says, well, yeah, things are going sideways over here, that usually refers to things kind of going wonky, or not exactly the way one might have planned.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was the way. But I get your meaning, BZ, and I think you're right about that.
Well, for me, I see that as a confirmation. Typically, when things go sideways, not according to how I've exactly planned them out in my mind, it's a confirmation that, well, although this isn't the exact way that you pictured it and envisioned it, things are happening that make you say, and that to me is like a signpost or a marker, that lets me know, oh, okay, let's pay more attention to what goes on around that.
Well, yeah, you're absolutely right. And if you who's the being who's looking at it, and where are the eyes focused from it going sideways? So is it just purely the linear part of you, or are you taking more into consideration? Is something that you thought you were open to and kind of taking it all in, but something presented or was revealed in a certain way, and so you think, oh, well, no, that's taking a wrong turn, or it's going sideways, or they're not doing what they said, or what the hell do they think they're doing, with that kind of thing. And that's why, to me, it's yes, there's lots of magical that's straight up magical, but when you see the sideways, it's even more magical, because if you can stop for a moment and play with, who's the me, right? Seeing that it's going sideways, or looking at something, or then looking just, if you watch someone walking down the street, they're going sideways, and you just watch it for a minute, you actually would start to notice all different things. Like there's other planes of the horizon, let's say, that's actually matching with their sideways. I mean, I've watched that happen a lot. So it actually opens you up to more magic if you're willing to play with it, rather than labeling and saying, oh, well, that either something in your own personal life or something that you're then reacting to, characterizing as going sideways.
Yeah, I can't help it, but in this conversation, I'm seeing the whole 5G thing now.
That's one example. Yep.
Yeah, because that's been really big right now. Everybody that's, been on the Trump train, so to speak, and he's made this tweet now, and everybody's freaking out, and oh my gosh, and and of course, I've been feeling like nothing is at what it seems at all, period, anyway. So I wasn't jumping on the oh my God, that's horrible train, because again, I don't think that everything nothing is as it appears anymore, or at least not what some might have one think. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, in that one example, there's lots of ways you can play with it. I put up a post from Zero Brain 2, and he decodes all the things and it shows you that it's not at all, well, it's exactly, everything is as it seems if one only notices, right? Or you could say nothing is as it seems, or it's hidden in plain sight, yes, or it's not hidden at all, it's right smack in front of you. So again, it's all of these things are going to be more part of the provings from ourselves to ourselves. Are we really paying attention? Are we really connected to ourselves? Forget everybody else out there for a moment. Are we really connected to ourselves? Are we really feeling the pulse and flowing with the rhythm of ourselves? Because we're showing ourselves pictures, we're showing ourselves evidence, we're showing ourselves proof and provings all over the place.
We're bringing ourselves messages all the time. We're communicating with ourselves and putting this information. That's a great point, because this happens to me all the time, where I'll bring in something that obviously I needed to see at that point, to comprehend. And we were just talking about certain things that I see in my dreams, and I can't help but notice that big vase of purple flowers that you have. So to me, that's a proof to me about certain things that I see in my dreams that, say, hey, pay attention to this stuff. This is all part of the path. This is all part of your ascension and your spiritual growth.
Right. And to me, they're also, they're like, they could be, there's a lot of communication from and connection with and discussion about fairies more and more, and crystals. And it can be too where these things are, kind of testing you or trickstering you, or in a very playful way, shining their light and their languaging into you, because it's really, oh, is that what you're saying? Huh. And that glint there, just like if you take a crystal, this doesn't happen to have one, but if you take a crystal and you can turn it, and sometimes you'll catch just a facet of, perhaps it has a rainbow, or there's something else, or there's other facets in there. But if you look at this, oh no, that's just plain, until you turn it just so and it catches and you go, oh, look at that, right? So that's what I'm talking about, is that this is another way for us to see, okay, what I was thinking of, even if we're doing it from the truther and draining the swamp and that whole thing, because she mentioned the 5G, Sheila, well, it's not an intellectual exercise. Actually, it's not just, two-party systems, and it's not just the last 10 years, and it's the whole thing. It's all of everything. And that means it's all of everything every time that you're playing with anything, right? So if you happen to have, it just happened to work out that this guy, that a lot of people love and a lot of people can't stand, right? Just happened at this moment to become the president of the United States. It just happened. And, you have this thing about the whole rollout of 5G. It just happened, right? It's not. It's all of these things that are flowing. And one of the things with the serial brain, I had to laugh on some things. I can always tell where someone's expansion level is in pulling things into the mix, right? Because all of a sudden, Trump has his best people just magically working on this thing about 5G. Because we're just, on one planet and nothing else is out there. And, so except that we have the Space Force and we have this and we have that. So again, our capacity, this is actually a way for everybody to build their muscles, because when you look at something and go, oh my God, that's a time to stand back and go, wow, I guess that weight's a little heavier than I thought, or my muscles aren't that strong to lift those things, because that's actually a total picture. That makes sense that I'm looking at. And when my brain goes, oh, this is horrible, or, he's wrong with the 5G or whatever it is, clearly there's not enough muscles built up to be able to look and see everything, because you're either, a kick-ass creator being, or you're not. You can't be halfway.
Something that came up for me while you were speaking about that, BZ, is that this is the word compartmentalization came up. Okay, so yeah, if we're gonna, and this is so in the truther community as well as in the spiritual community. I came over. I'm eking over into the spiritual community now, but I was in the truther conspiracy community. That's where I received my awakening. It was the geopolitical corruption on the planet that I woke up to first. And I will say that everyone who's done any kind of research about that understands that that is how the deep state actually got formed, was through compartmentalization. Because if this body over here is doing something, and this body is doing something, and that body is doing something, and everybody has just a teeny weeny little piece, then nobody really knows what the whole picture is that they're working on. And everybody contributed to something horrific, but they don't really know what that horrific thing was because it was so compartmentalized. Well, I think that that's exactly what, for one thing, our learning has been as well. Our conditioning and programming has been right compartmentalized as well. And therefore, when something like this with the 5G comes out, the tendency, the automatic tendency is to compartmentalize it and only look at it for what it's being shown as. Mm-hmm. And that's why every time, for me, when I have started that expansion and be able to see outside of that, that's when that compartmentalization starts breaking down, I think.
Right.
Sheila, you and I talked about that piece the other night, and after we kind of ended our thing, I was like, hold on a second. This is a chess piece. What that is a chess piece that's going to be played later on. And that's exactly what it is. And then we're going to find out the underlying moves that made that chess piece go into motion, because he's going to use it as a point of leverage. And that's when I started, really thinking, his role, his character does everything from a point of leverage. He's playing fifth dimensional chess while these jokers are playing checkers, and that's just what's playing out on this plane of existence right now. But know that we're all creating that, and that's how it works. And that piece is going to be used.
Yeah, and we're all intimately involved in it. It's not just an armchair sit back and watching it, although some people think it is. When's it going to happen? Didn't happen. We are integrally in part of that, and that's where what came through. But even when it feels like it's sideways, it's magical. It is magical, because you can look at that on a bunch of different ways. You could look at it just oh, well, Trump's doing this and he's great, he's mastered doing this, or all of a sudden he's disappointed me, so he's an idiot, and this, that, and the other thing. And nowhere is 100% responsibility, liable, and accountable for the being who is saying that. So they're not even on the playing field. They're, I don't know where they are, maybe in the nosebleed section of the bleachers or something, but that it doesn't work that way. This is everybody's in the game. Mm-hmm. And fully involved. And when you look at the magical part of it, and you've thrown yourself a ball. You've thrown yourself one hell of a corker of a, is it a slider pitch, or has it got an extra curve on it? And maybe it's one of those, I forgot what it's called. Schilling used to have one, and he had one, he put some extra top spin on it. But And a couple of people go, what are you talking about? Because, this is something and he doesn't know, and 5G is going to kill us, and oh my God. No. Because we're not just people who are born and have a hard time and have to deal with the deep state, and then we're worm food and we die. We're eternal. We're kick-ass creator beings, and we're all unwinding and unbinding this. So do you really think, at this moment when all is being unwound and unbound, and we've done such a masterful job so far, even if you're not quite playing with that yet, how far we've done, we've exceeded our own expectations, and the whole dugouts team, to keep using the baseball metaphor, expectations of this transformation leading up to bringing more beings and not having the cutoff. And so we've thrown that curveball to ourselves when we have that reaction, so that we can focus it. It's bearing down on you. Are you going to raise your bat and you're going to wallop it, or are you going to foul it off because you're saying, oh, this is, and it's on us. We need to participate.
It's going over the green monster. That's where it's going. I'm going to hit it out of the park.
Well, I keep feeling like, and now, the more I see things becoming transparent and so easy to see what's going on, I keep I keep feeling, and I know I'm right about this, that it is the unbinding and unwinding that I'm doing within myself that's contributing, that's pulling it into the here and now. And I'm not the only one that's doing that. BZ is doing that. You're doing that. There are lots of folks that watch these videos that are doing that. There are folks that are doing that's never even heard of any of us, that are doing that within themselves, and they don't even realize that they're doing that. And all of that is actually contributing to what we are seeing take place. Now, I guess there are those that are kind of stuck in a certain perspective or perception about certain things, and it doesn't look like there's any movement, and it doesn't feel like there's any movement. And I personally feel that is a direct result of what is not being unbound and unwound within. That's just me, but hey,
well, that's part of the magic. That's part of the magic. That's what I'm talking about. So on the one hand, the magical could be fantastical. Hey, look at that unicorn just walked across the window, right? Okay. Or my feet aren't on the ground, but I'm walking. Hey, that's kind of cool, right? So there's all, and that's actually happening. Ask a lot of people. There are all sorts of things are happening all over the place. I could tell you stories just in the last 3 days. So a lot of that's happening, but what's also magical is this stuff when something lights us up and just gets us spitting mad. It's a magical, line sinker right at us that's getting us to to jump out of the way because the pitch is coming about to cut us off at the knees because we're not paying attention, right? And getting us to look, getting it to be a catalyst, getting us to go through the different gyrations to expand our hearts and really look at what's going on. And there is serious magic there, because as soon as you do that, then the unicorns are a piece of cake.
And I thought that as soon as I ended that conversation, I'm like, hold on a second. Hold 1 second here. That just made me pull in the energy that there is no way that that's going to be rolled out. I mean, that made me pull that energy in. It's not coming. I'm just saying.
Right.
My sense of it is that, and again, this is just my sense of it in just the reading of the tweet that he tweeted. That's all I did was read the tweet. And his words were 5G, 6G, and beyond. So
hint.
Yeah. So if you think that we're going to have 5G, I don't think it's going to be. I think it's going to jump straight to the beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's just my feeling about it.
Well, yeah, and so those who don't know what the beyond is, especially in the beyond that you're talking about, not yet. I mean, they're having dreams, they're having noodlings, they're having thoughts, but they're not quite, maybe they're afraid to take the book jacket that they've put over their book, so to say, over it or whatever it is. There's some that, oh yeah, but that's over here and this is plain as day and that's right. No, because everything is connected. So
absolutely,
that's the each being is sovereign and structure and system and all of that, and it's all connected. It's all coming down. It's all unwinding and unbinding, and all new that we are building up in its place. And so, not one piece missing, which means not one piece is not connected.
Well, and there's something else that just been beckoned to be said in this conversation, and so I'm going to just say it, and that is that the ubiquitous they have done a really great job of convincing everyone that they're these really horrible, to be feared dark magicians, like they have all the knowledge, and so they just can do whatever it is they think they want to do. And I have felt for quite some time now that we are all of us magic. The difference is, for me, I think that there's been a skewing, a way of teaching that particular way for those that came up in those families and situations of how to wield their power. It's not like they've been taught they're creator beings, because they haven't been. It's not that they think they're creator beings. My sense of it is that the only way to have this magic power that we're giving you is through all this dark, satanic, ritualistic kind of thing. It is a way, it is a method of focus and attention. It's not a good way, but it is a method of focus and attention. I feel that we are all of us magic, and it is only a matter of focus and attention. Now, if you've been taught, remember, there's programming and conditioning in everything, and they got it too. They just got it in a different fashion, and their programming and conditioning said, this is the way this happens. This is the only way this happens. So you have to do it this way. And it's dark and it's ugly and it's icky and horrible. And it's been running stuff. And they've done a really good job of convincing everybody that they've got the upper hand. Guess what? Don't buy that crap for a second, because I don't think that's true. And we are, every one of us, magic, and we've been walking around doing stuff with our focus and attention that was directed by those that know this. So the minute we take our sovereignty and say, oh, hey, hold up a second, I am a creator being, and I am magic too, and I'll direct my focus and attention. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I had to say.
So,
that.
And again, that's why I'll point back to, you gave a great example. It's the 5G and all that is magical. It's absolutely, stunningly, beautifully magical. Your perception of it and how you choose to flow with it is entirely your choice. And if you want to look at it as oh my God, 5G, and what it does is this horrible thing, and now we're screwed because, you know, this president who I thought was a good guy, or Jesus, I always knew he was a rat bastard anyways, Orange my anyway. Right? So wherever you are, right, now everybody's, you know, there's a lot of everybody's in sync going on, you know, but you're discounting 3/4 or more of the whole picture. And just the other day, you might have been talking about, well, we're eternal, or you might have been talking about, you know, there's ascension and energies are changing. Okay, well, what happened to all that? Because if that's the case, then you either forgot it, or you've compartmentalized it, or it's that case if I'm looking this direction, but over here, you know, when the whacked out orange man or the traitor turncoat orange man, however you're looking at it, is now talking about 5G, this has all been negated. It doesn't work that way. It's all connected.
Yep, it's all beautifully interwoven for a very specific purpose, and that's the one that we desire to experience.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it's funny, Sheila, that you said we're all magic, and frankly, that's truly what we are. Everything that we say, everything that, well, especially say, you know, those are spells. You know, it's the way I look at it. Those are spells, and you know, are you on Voldemort's team or Harry Potter's team? You know, I tend to equate things to fantasy because I really like to play with expansive, you know, wonder, and but I just know this, that you know, my heart is unequivocally on the good side, and that's the way I choose to cast my spells.
Yeah, and you can look at your, you know, where you are, what's the strength of your expansion muscles, what's the, you know, how many innings can you go, how many things can you, you know, laps can you run, how many miles can you walk, how many times can you just, you know, juggle rainbows, you know, or where your muscles are, because
Right.
of how you react to something. And then put your energy behind that reaction, that mischaracterization, you know, the not intentionally focus and attention on something, but instead reacting instead of acting on what you know from within you to be true. So again, I go back to that. These are all magical, wonderful things to play with, magical, wonderful, expansive opportunities and things that are coming our way that we can go, wow, this is amazing. You know, Sheila was describing the way she looked at the tweet, and I read that and I thought, on the one hand, I looked, I laughed, I said, oh, this is going to go over really big with a bunch of people. Can you hear me screaming already? Oh my God, it's mass freak out. And I'm looking at it going, and very few people are looking at this and going, yet again, he's tweeting about beyond and expansion and all of this, and not a lot of people are paying attention. Just like, you know, when he had his inauguration speech, and I pulled out the different quotes out of it and put it on the IUV, you know, people talked about this and that and the other thing. Either they didn't like it and all this blah, 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 or they liked it and all this, but they missed, a lot of them missed the integral places where he was giving a roadmap that had nothing to do with linear, had nothing to do with your normal 3D presidency or anything like that. I mean, it's all right there, and there's nothing actually hidden about it at all. It's right in front of you.
And the amazing thing is that all the things that, you know, he's talked about, and the things that frankly just get brushed over are the things that specifically I choose to experience. You know, I choose to experience that. The people take this country back. I choose to experience, you know, these large, expansive thoughts of people being the absolute sovereign and getting to create the creation they want to create. You know, so, and if you look at, it's just funny how the things that are said that are completely glossed over is like, that's very specific to what I choose to create. then it really gets to be magical, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is kind of fun to watch."
Yeah,
it's kind of fun.
Well, and you're more than watching. That's one of the reasons it's so fun.
Well, right. Mm-hmm.
It's it out. I do find myself, because of all the programming and conditioning, having to, I mean, it's something that I find my focus and attention really has to be there as far as the unbinding and the unwinding, and paying attention to my speech, my thoughts, and all of these things, because the programming and conditioning being so pervasive, I still have grooves that they're not as deep a rut as they once were, but they are still some grooves. So I have a sense that some, not all, but some that have those momentary freakouts when they see, you know, there's still that programming and conditioning within all of us that
that's exactly it.
Right. And the compartmentalization thing is one of them. And that really just kind of came to me as we were talking about this. To pick something up and look at it in isolation instead of trying to see it in its not just its totality, but where it actually fits and what does it mean as it's in that slot and all of that. That is a program and program and conditioning as well. That as I've caught myself doing that, and that's why I wanted to share that, because that is something that I have a feeling that some, not all, but some that reacted that way at first, it was because of that compartmentalization thing, you know?
Well, I think the key is knowing, and recognizing, oh wow, I just totally compartmentalized that. It, and that's the great thing, um, your higher self is just absolutely letting you know, hey, you're doing all this. You're maybe reacted to that, but then again, that overreaction is part of the equation too. Because
Yes, if you're focused and if your attention is focused on what it is that, see, for me, anytime I'm having a visceral reaction to anything, I have to ask myself, okay, first of all, what's the visceral about? And if it is like in this particular kind of situation, well, is that really all there is to this? That's another question I'm finding myself asking myself when I'm looking at something. And that tweet from the president was one of those things for me. Is that really what he's saying? Or is there more?
Mm-hmm.
There's always more. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because you're not just, this three-dimensional linear being. You're multidimensional, and you've got this, we've all created this and finished this and unwound and unbound this, and now we're pulling it in to materialization.
Right.
And so if you look at it that way, the whole plan, along with AI and all that going off, the whole plan of the 5G and all this kind of stuff. Yes, I mean, someone's saying, well, you're discounting the fact that, it's bad. No, I'm not. I'm just not tunneling down in the rabbit hole of, Orange Man bad because I thought he was great and now he's bad. And what I'm talking about is that it's not disconnected. And so, yes, part of that unwinding and binding that we see it now in the tangible, materialized realities is that was a whole thing that was developed and orchestrated and being wove to be unfolded to put more of the, we'll say in a joking way, the bottomistic tendencies on everybody as they, went around going, oh, and they're giving themselves a lobotomy with their new 5G phone, right? So that they're more easy to control and manipulate, all these kinds of things. So it has to come out that it's there, and it has to come out and be unwound, not only, if you're going to use the language of sides, whatever side that you're on, whether the creators of it or the don't want it's or the gotta come first, and move to the next step. We're going so rapidly now. We're not doing the old stuff where, oh, something's crumbling, oh, it's broken, we should fix it, to, oh, no, let's build something better. It's like this. I mean, it's happening. So you've got the 5G is rolling out, and the 5G is thwarted, and it's masterly a catalyst for everybody to integrate all of that. And 6, 7, and beyond is there because, hey, you know what? We're multidimensional, and we're already beyond that. The planet that we're living on right this moment, unless you want to hop off, is way beyond 5, 6, 7. Way at this moment, right now. And that's just this moment. Okay, now we're in the next moment, and it's even bigger there. So it's not happening in a vacuum, and we're not missing anything, and we just need to feel into it, to play into those energies. And when something starts to wind us up, we go, wow, look at that energy ball. Wow, look at that magic whirlwind, hot potato, whatever, euphemism you want to get to use for it, and go, there's stuff in there for me to play with.
Well, see, that's why I kind of brought up the whole thing about how they have done a really good job of convincing everybody just how powerful they think they are. And I got news. I'm just as powerful. Thank you very much. There's not one. BZ, you've helped me with this. I cannot say how much. There is not one piece missing in any of us. So that goes for all of us. That honestly means that I am every bit as powerful as they are. I don't have full control just yet. I don't have that mastery, but I know that I am. So, boy, are they going to have a tough time with me.
Newsflash, you do already. All the stuff that's playing out, you don't think you had a part in it? You did. Yeah. So, and this is the cool thing. I mean, this is really interesting because all of our collective thoughts, we're really trying to create this world. And one of the major things that I really, think that everybody should enjoy is their freedom, their independence, whether that be from energy, whether that be from money, whether that be from every aspect of life. I think you should be absolutely sovereign in your ability to create the world you want to create. And just today, this is crazy, my wife has suddenly become a magnet for sending me ideas about free energy, because she knows how much I've been working on my prototype and my ideas and my dissection of Tesla all these years. And she sent me something today that just blew my mind. Here's somebody that figured out that they can take two magnets, wrap a coil of wire around it, put the diodes, put those two wires in a potato and put a light in it, and you can run that light. I mean, so why is that permeated into the conscious? I believe it's because that's what I'm choosing to create for everyone. And it's coming in. It's coming in the field. It's coming in. It's pulling in. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a beautiful illustration too. Just what you talked about. That you don't need a box. You don't need the specific boxes. The heretofore correct boxes. I'm using that as a metaphor to build whatever it is that you want to build. You can use a friggin' potato.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or a rutabaga or a turnip,
I was like, oh my God,
or a
this
pumpkin, right? So that's it's a beautiful illustration on a practical level and on a metaphoric level and energetic level that
it doesn't have to be that complicated, folks.
Right, it isn't, and that we're at the genesis of how we look at something and what we feel is possible, and where we are in those muscles will be exactly what we get. So it will be nothing is possible, or I'm stuck under the thumb of, or oh, it's a little better, or wow, it's unlimited, or holy smoke, watch out, I'm flying now, and that's all at our own.
Yeah, or everything's possible and it's easy.
Well,
easy.
I've lately I've had I had some messages come for me in regards to, because I have had an issue with myself about not having connection in the way that others have had connection, right? So I'm having a little conversation with, ostensibly my higher self. And what I got was, so where's the sovereignty in that, Sheila? Mm-hmm. Okay, so and so the question that I'd like to throw out there to the general naysayers is, as we sit around and wait for someone to, I don't know, do something, are we there yet? BZ usually says, where's the sovereignty in that? Mm-hmm. How much of that are you responsible, reliable, and accountable for as we're waiting to be there.
Yeah,
I'm
because this
just,
isn't the oxymoron. This isn't your, father's cousin's Uncle Harry's oxymoronic sovereign citizen. This is sovereignty. The true, no holes barred, galactic, universal, multiversal sovereignty.
well, and I think that's
Feel
why
into what that means first for yourself.
right. And so I also recognized all of a sudden that is why it's such a big topic. It's a big energetic, because it's a metaphor. The sovereignty is within. It's not just the country. It's not just that nation over there. It's here first. I
It's
mean,
here
yes, it's
first.
all
Yeah.
those other things too, but it has to be here first. And there's, I'm sorry, if you're waiting for somebody to come along and hand you your sovereignty, I'll say, where's the sovereignty in that? That's part of
back, in the Knights of the Round Table. How many kings and knights do you think they waited around for someone to hand them their sovereignty? Was there, like a jester that walked around, rode on his zebra, and said, "Okay, I'm handing out sovereignty. Here you go, line up."
Your sovereignty, sir.
I mean, come on. But again, it's we've allowed ourselves to be trained and allowed ourselves to keep ourselves locked into that thought process and throw some words around of something, but we never feel into just the scope and breadth and depth of what it is that we're talking about. And yeah, I'm going to get the memo, and then there's going to be a free shuttle that's going to take me there. Well, that's not what sovereignty is.
But then I think everything that's falling into place is exactly the sovereignty that we're creating. It's like, yeah, this is gonna work out to where, I just let them know, hey, by the way, I know I'm sovereign. Yeah, that's just a minor portion of this whole deal. And I see it as that's why everything is playing out the way it's playing out right now, is that some of us chose to see a spy thriller. Some of us, like to think about these things as we discover that, oh, by the way, we're creating this whole entire thing. We're creating it. You're absolutely sovereign because you're creating it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, okay. See, that you're exactly correct. That's part of what that's why I feel like it is possible for everyone to experience things in a different manner.
Well, that's your job.
Right.
Right? Source wanted to know source, so it went out and went forth, and you're on the trajectory coming back. Hey, that's your job, right? The most important job you ever. Forget about the rest of the stuff. That's your job. It's yours. And it's beautiful wherever you're seeing and whatever you're doing, whatever is unfolding, whatever is making you feel magical and whatever is making you feel fatous, that's perfect. And if in a nanosecond you go, why was I worried about, just to use your example, Sheila, this 5G stuff, I see it all now. I got it. Then you now are appreciating the magicalness of that moment where you were all head up about, the 5G and all that, and you've shifted to a more expansiveness around that. It's perfect for each being, however they're doing it.
Yep.
The key is that you do it for you. And don't put you on someone else, because that's not their job or yours.
Right. Well, that's a tough one to remember too, by the way. I mean, it is that if that's a condition and a groove too for some, and I freely admit to being part of that some. You know, it's becoming a lot easier these days to stay in my own lane, but I do forget sometimes and jump over into somebody else's lane and say, you're supposed to feel like this. That's getting farther and farther between. So,
well, I find that when when you do switch lanes, just notice when you switch lanes what happens.
That's why it's getting farther and farther between.
Yeah, I'm at the point where I do like to just I like to just play around every now and then to see what the heck comes up, And oh God, this was great. So the other morning, I had been longing. It's been a while. It's been a long winter, and I have not had enough nature. And I got out to the car, and I mean, I was absolutely surrounded by cardinals and hawks and doves and sparrows, and saw the first robins of the spring and squirrels, and all of a sudden I just realized I am just like I mean, this is just stupid. There's so much data, and it was like right here. It's like, what? I mean, I was, oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you don't need to make a date or set an appointment. Simply notice what's always been right there for you to, and you're noticing it, right? You're setting the intention.
Yep.
Brings it all forward right in front to play with you.
And it was beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. And fun.
Yep. I shared with the two of you before we began recording that we finally had a day without rain and some sun here in North Carolina. And I actually, again, Kevin, last night I said, I choose to experience some sun tomorrow.
Well, hey.
And it was raining really hard when I went to sleep last night. So, but I said, I choose to experience some sun tomorrow. And when I woke up and it was actually sunny streaming in my window, I was like, all right.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you is the next words out of my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And, and it really is just that simple. I mean, and I struggled for a lot of years because I knew I had this psychic ability, but it never, ever worked the way that I anticipated it should work. I'm just, trying to control it, and it just doesn't work that way. But then when I started to say, okay, you know what, I know this is a part of me. I choose that it comes in whatever way it wants to, and I'll react to it how I react to it. And and then it becomes magical, like cues from your phone.
I know, right? I'm telling you, I love that.
No, I'm giddy because that's being a stage performer. That's all right. Cue the magic.
Well, and you
Cue
gave a beautiful illustration, Kevin, because when
Cue the magic.
My guess is that when you were thinking about your psychicness coming through, and you think it was supposed to come right because you read it in a book or you heard other people talk about it and that was their thing, and it wasn't Kevin's way to do it. It wasn't Kevin's vein of that ability and how it's manifested and the beautiful magicalness of that. And as soon as you were like, oh, well, okay, hey, this is the Kevin psychic magic thing,
Right.
then it really started to shine.
Mm-hmm.
Which was the same thing for me in regards to my connection, which is the same thing for everyone, I feel, when it comes to what we're doing here as far as our ascension process, our embodiment process. There are going to be as many ways of this as there are beings. And see, it's that compartmentalization and our education system that puts grades on everything and compares everybody and everything. That's been part of our conditioning and programming, so that, oh, well, I'm not doing it like they say I'm supposed to be doing it, and so that must be wrong. I that's what I thought about myself the whole time. And that's just not so. It's going to be, it's because I feel like our physical vessels are our focusing mechanism, because we really truly are all one. The only way to experience ourselves as something separate is through this focusing mechanism. And it's
Duality.
this focusing mechanism that, and all of the experiences that I have had in this vessel, that goes into how that's the whole point. That's the whole point of all of it. And so, of course,
that's your job.
Yes, that's right. Exactly.
Not Kevin's job, not Lisa's, not Lisa's, not Keegan's. It's Sheila. It's the Sheila rep.
Ah, wait a minute. Are you saying that it's the Sheila show? That's a private joke. There's because that's what everybody used to say. This is not the Sheila show. Yes, the hell it is. For me.
Here's my unique spin on on the afterlife. I've always thought about this. They say it's a transversal of the veil, right? Well, and I can't help but think of it this way because of what I've done, for 24 years. Being an opera singer is a very unique view of the planet when your life is on stage. And I've always envisioned it this way, and this is my imagination and my existence that I choose, is that when you go to that great beyond, if I choose to do so, into the next step, I walk out on stage and I'm the guest of honor, and it's, this is your life. And it's full of the wonderful, oh man, wow, look what you did there. And I often, choose to create from that vantage point where I think somebody else is watching my show. Somebody's watching my show. So I have to make it entertaining. I have to make it fun. Otherwise, God, why even bother? It's such a bore. And that's one of the things that I always struggle with is having a creative mind. I got to keep myself entertained, and I'm creating some fun stuff right now. It's fun.
And you can create it and entertain even when you're going sideways.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. My dog, you got to see the other night, you got to see my Pomeranian, but one of my other dogs, his name is Cody Bear. He has his own theme song. So whenever he comes into the room, I sing his theme song, and whoever's watching the show knows that the coolest dog in the universe has just walked into the room. That's just one of the things I do. My kids think I'm crazy. I don't care. But my dog has his own theme song.
Well, that's because it's the Kevin show.
Right. That's the way I'm playing it. Yeah.
Well, this has been one heck of an energetic envelope, you guys, and I am very appreciative of of you guys coming and playing with me.
Yeah.
In Lisa's
thank you.
absence, it's been, you know, it's been different being on my own here, but I love that you guys were able to come and play, and I hope we can do this again. We'll have to get together, all of us, with Lisa when she's back. So
I'm playing 24 hours a day. Just that's where I've come to now. At this point, I've just like, you know what? I'm going to do things from a place of love that's going to be fun and entertaining, and that's what I choose to experience. So.
Yeah, that's how KACBs roll.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
Well, as always, we'll have all the usual things and all the usual places for contact of any one of us. And until further notice, the same thing will go for Kevin. If you'd like to get in touch with Kevin, you can get in touch with me and I will forward the information on. So
Perfect.
Thank you both. And till next time. Mwah.
Cheers. Thank you.